Welcome to The Next List. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. This week we have a special episode celebrating the innovation and tenacity of top students at NCAA schools around the country.
The one thing I've learned out of this is that you can never underestimate a student.
The Next List celebrates agents of change, and today you're going to meet 5 undergraduate students who are pushing the boundaries of innovation and their own education. A freshman at Dartmouth working on a cure for cancer.
My end goal for everything that I'm trying to achieve is every hour I put into my work is an hour that goes into someone else's life to make it a little bit better.
2 seniors at USC leading the charge to preserve the artistic landscape in the city they love.
LA is one of the top 5 cities for murals around the nation.
In wiping out the stories, you would then wipe out a people. And we can't let that happen.
True.
A sophomore at Vanderbilt whose ingenious use of algae is so simple, nobody else thought to do it.
Why not take a bioreactor and compress it in size and then place it on the exhaust pipe and capture carbon dioxide at its source.
And a senior at MIT, dedicated to finding revolutionary ways to power robots that explore the deepest, darkest corners of our world.
I am very hands-on. I like rapid prototyping. I like going into the lab and just playing with things and seeing how can I make this work very quickly.
I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and this is The Next List, an NCAA tournament special.
Public art is such an important way that the character of a city comes out and makes people want to be there and want to interact with people, and that's what the 2 women here have done, is revive that dialogue about how we as citizens claim space, create value, and how we need to be talking with the public institutions about recognizing that value.
Murals are more than just about one person. They're not just about the artist. They're about a story being told. They're about a community. Murals represent something so much greater than just the person. They represent a people.
LA is one of the top 5 cities for murals around the nation. Murals each about hope.
We are Mural Project LA. We are 2 policy students, and what we've been taught is how to solve problems.
The main goal, I think, of our project was to have people be aware that they exist and the purpose that they serve for these communities.
We've created a Facebook account. We've also created Twitter, but our main objective is actually through Instagram. We're trying to engage people, the average person, to go ahead, take the picture, and then send it to us at Mural Project LA. You just have to tag us. And through that, we're hoping to create this comprehensive geo-reference map of the murals around Los Angeles. The class that we were a part of that started off our project was the Schwarzenegger Institute class.
When I asked the students to come up with a project that involved post-partisanship, what I expected was something more political. Sabha and Karina were innovative because they thought, let's think out of the box. If we want to get to know people, we want to get to know how they think, why not study their art, study their stories?
The first step was becoming activists, really.
The city of LA was considering an ordinance that would affect murals, and a big component of the ordinance would involve a tax. So taxing murals would be a deterrent.
We both got the chance to attend City Hall and speak for ourselves on behalf of as students and as citizens of Los Angeles. We got to bring to light our perspective on why murals needed to be kept in LA.
Murals are disappearing in our neighborhoods, and the city council has made a bad decision on that issue. So we want to teach our students at USC, at the Schwarzenegger Institute, that you have the power. And I'm so glad that they went out already and got the city council to change their minds and to go now in a different direction and protect this art.
In dealing with murals, it's been this idea that I can help those who are trying to tell a story that aren't being heard. Some people can't use language the way I use language, for example, and the way other people use language. Some people speak through art and some people speak through other means, and If art is your mean of speaking, if that is your way of communicating, then who am I to take that away from you? And who is City Council to take that away from you?
This mural talks about the Latino culture, but I think with the depiction of the various leaders within the Winds of Change, personally, like what draws my eye is this college student, and she's kind of going in through the doorway of education, education being the gateway into many different aspects and walks of life.
Each one of those murals represents something very important. One maybe promotes peace, the other one promotes maybe the environment, and there's like hundreds of issues, and it's such a creative way for artists to express themselves.
What they've done, which is so exciting, is they have taught a whole group of people about the importance of murals and taught a perspective that at least I had never seen.
Murals, because they are public art, they're for everyone. They're not locked up behind a museum door, behind a gate where you have to pay admission or become a member.
That's really the power behind murals that we wanted to share with the project, because these stories, they do depict the history that we don't always get to see or hear in the history books.
In wiping out the stories, you would then wipe out a people. And we can't let that happen.
Sure.
This Next List special is brought to you by...
I'm very optimistic about green technologies. There's a lot of things that are needed. We need better government policies. We need stable government policies. We also need the funding in order to scale these so that they can get out to the masses. But I'm optimistic about the future. I think that if we can make these economically viable, people will choose them.
You would think with motor vehicles being around for about 100 years now, that someone would have thought to mitigate global warming from the exhaust pipe. Right now what's coming through the tailpipe is mostly carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide contributes most to our global warming and greenhouse gas effect. We've created a device that fits on the tailpipe of a car. It only costs us $8 to make, and it's filled with basically chemicals and an algae solution.
It's a really cool idea, cutting down CO2 emissions. First thing everybody said whenever he got to the fraternity was, yeah, look, we want to throw these on all of our cars.
My name is Param Jaggi. I'm the founder and CEO of Ecoviate and a sophomore at Vanderbilt University. This device itself basically does damage control. It's trying to prevent more carbon dioxide from being released into the environment. The algae is basically using carbon dioxide as fuel. The algae thinks that it's just growing and thriving under the conditions, but it's using the carbon dioxide to fuel its generative source. What's released into the atmosphere is both oxygen and water vapor.
We get a lot of bright students at Vanderbilt. We have a lot that work hard, do well in the classroom, but he's really trying to create his own invention. He's trying to turn that into his own business, and that's pretty unique.
Ecoviate is a company I founded this past summer. The plan is to approach the big oil companies, maybe car manufacturers.
The attraction of this is if you can come up with a way to control emissions that's easy to install, doesn't affect the performance of the vehicle at all, and would be sort of easy to maintain and deal with, is really a strong selling point.
There's been a few angel investors that have contacted me recently. I think first they're kind of thrown back a little bit because most people in this field are 40, 50 years old. The tech field, anyone, if you're 10 years old or if you're 80 years old, if you have a good idea, then people will put money in it. We're sitting in my dorm room right now. I've kind of created a makeshift lab out of all the materials I've gathered over the years, and it's pretty convenient because I can roll out of bed and start my work. Usually I hide away all my materials, but they came in and they thought I had a drug lab in here, just because they saw a bunch of hard-to-wear materials. So they assumed that I was growing some sort of controlled substance. No, I'm not. I mean, unless if you count algae as a controlled substance.
He's a really great guy. People in our pledge class gave him a little bit more grief than like the normal Vanderbilt community because everybody knows him as the Forbes 30 under 30 kid. But we really like to make fun of him about his hair. We always tell him, put your hair down, Prom.
I've been a part of his brotherhood for about 6 months now, and it's been a great experience. A lot of the engineers have reached out to me to see if they could help me out. A lot of people doing business and marketing have asked me if I needed any help with logo designs, business development, business models.
Yeah, it's everybody's plan D, basically. Like, you know, if you don't get a job out of college, can't go to grad school, it's going to be work for From's company. So it's kind of everybody's backup plan around here.
What we're trying to do with the Coviate is create inexpensive, efficient, and completely disposable technologies. But my ultimate goal is to win a Nobel Prize.
I certainly hope that he keeps finding ways to innovate and create and actually invent new things that will really help the entire world. That would be amazing.
There's all kinds of different robots they're useful for different tasks. These ocean-going robots are really important because the great majority of the oceans is currently unmapped and undiscovered. Well, these kinds of vehicles are important because they can go places that people can't go and do things that people aren't good at, like being out there for long periods of time.
Being here, it just provides you with the one constant. Everything is changing around you. Classes may or may not be going well, but every single morning, you get up at 5:45, come down to the boathouse, you know exactly what you're going to do.
Whatever passion they have for what they're doing across the way in their coursework and their studies, that passion makes them really fast in a boat.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't row. I was recruited by the crew coach and was so excited when I got in because it was going to give me a chance to row in college, as well as just, it's the best engineering school in the world. My name is Jean Sack. I go to MIT and I'm double majoring in mechanical engineering and music. I grew up in Eureka, California. My parents built our house. We were completely off the grid. Our electricity came from solar cells. Our water came from rainwater collection. We didn't have internet. We didn't really have television. It's the sort of experience that makes you really appreciate when you come to college and then have things like Wi-Fi everywhere and heat and unlimited hot water and the sorts of things that most people sort of take for granted. Growing up off the grid, I was always interested in renewable energy, and being here with cutting-edge technology, I feel like there's just actually something that I can make a difference in. I wasn't always naturally good at mechanical engineering. I came in with a music background and sort of have learned over the first few years I was here how to be an engineer, how to think like an engineer. And one of the projects that just completely changed how I saw myself and how I think of engineering was Professor Doug Hart's 2014 last year.
The classes run like a startup. Students run everything, and basically I just simply act as the technical advisor. So they were looking for someone to run the class, and everybody said, oh, you got to get Jean to do this. And not only is she passionate and she has a lot of interest, but she's also tough as nails. My task to them was to develop an underwater power system that would extend the range of the REMUS 600 to the point where a REMUS can be used to access every port in the world from U.S. military bases. So essentially we've eliminated the use of $1 million a day research ship.
One of the options that the students who were designing last year's project looked at was an aluminum water reaction. So instead of using the diesel engine to charge the battery packs, we're taking advantage of the reactivity of aluminum with water.
The one thing I've learned out of this is that you can never underestimate a student. If you give them the chance, they really are amazing. And Jean has a way of pulling that out of people.
The aha moment, it really was when Jackson came to me last year and was like, what if we use sodium chlorate?
We can actually get the oxygen for the fuel cell using the dissociation of a compound called sodium chlorate, which is actually used very commonly in aviation and in submarines as well as an emergency oxygen supply. So we've kind of adapted this technology and put our own little kind of spice on it to make it perfect for our applications and to create a very continuous, steady supply of oxygen.
I am very hands-on. I like rapid prototyping. I like going into the lab and just playing with things and seeing how can I make this work very quickly. I'm very on top of time from being involved in crew, double majoring, you really learn time management. You're forced to, otherwise you can't make everything happen.
I'm terrified of her. She's really good.
While I'm at MIT, crew and music both balance out everything else. I'm so much more confident than when I came in as a freshman. The experience of being able to manage the most brilliant people that you know is so humbling and so intimidating. And then when you succeed at it, incredibly rewarding.
It's going to be very hard to find another field in which people get told no all the time. And when somebody really young or out of left field who's not in the system comes up with an idea, it's going to be surrounded by really well-qualified skeptics. You need to find a group of mentors that will somehow believe in you and know that for a moment in time your idea is in fact crazy. But that doesn't mean that you should just close up shop and stop what you're doing. You're part of a very long journey.
We all have cancer in us right now, and through the environment, genetics, it goes from off to on. What if we can stop that shift? What if I took one pill once a day? Could I stop that from ever happening? Founded Immuticon my senior year of high school. Immuticon LLC is a early stage life sciences company, and Immuticon, the goal really is understanding the relationship between the tumor and the immune system and finding technologies to empower the systems that are already inside of us to fight the cancer. I am Riley Ennis, and I'm a sophomore at Dartmouth College and founder of Immuticon. My end goal for everything that I'm trying to achieve is every hour I put into my work is an hour that goes into someone else's life to make it a little bit better. Started with me watching a Nova research special on horseshoe crabs. I'm watching how the FDA used their blood to test for bacteria and pathogens in pharmaceutical products. They went into the mechanism of how that worked, and it's a name tag that can bind to any bacteria and tell the body to destroy it. I was like, that's pretty cool. So you're pretty much tagging things, and the body can look at that and just destroy it. And it was very universal, it was very simple. As I'm sitting in an internship at the University of Pennsylvania, I read an article in cancer immunotherapy. I said, well, okay, so they're trying to tag the cancer, teach the body to recognize it. Our body seems to have some natural mechanism to destroy the cancer, so why not just use that? Why use chemicals? And ultimately, what that led to was, how can we take this horseshoe crab system, find something similar in humans that you can implement to target, destroy the cancer? I put together a PowerPoint on this mechanism. I said, maybe this will work. I literally have no idea, but it seems like the piece will fit together. I was at Thomas Jefferson High School at the time. I went to my teacher and I said, hey, I mean, you have a lab. I know students do research. Like, what about this? Like, we should try this. And I was so excited. I put just so much time into it. And she completely flat out was just like, no, you don't have money. We can't use mice. This doesn't really make sense. I don't think it's going to work. You just can't do this. And I just remember turning around, walking out of her office, and just being completely crushed.
One of the challenges that Riley's going to face in sort of being a little bit young and enthusiastic and everything is possible is he will be faced with failures along the way.
I was very close to just giving up.
It's a very long path to answer some of these important scientific questions, and I think it's to just stay enthusiastic about why he originally started.
And the next step was, okay, we can't use mice. Maybe I can use invertebrates. I'm allowed to do that. And that's what ended up working with these starfish and the octopi. I developed the vaccine. I built it, the concept, in the lab at my high school. Kept it frozen, brought it home, injected into these things, and brought them all to Georgetown for imaging. And what we're hoping for is you inject this vaccine, and I just wanted to prove that this would launch an immune response. The moment the red dot came up, we saw that first image, I just remember being shocked that I could have looked at a graduate textbook trying to understand this and build something that who knows what it's going to lead to, but just that first initial experiment I think was so powerful for me.
Riley, despite his relative youth is an outlier in a very positive way. His level of focus and conviction and demonstrable perseverance, but still having all the social skills to rally supporters. You wouldn't want to bet against him. In fact, I'd love to bet on him.
I can't say for certain that, just from a scientific standpoint, that this is going to be the biggest next drug, is going to cure all cancer. But for me, it's what I'm learning through the process and who I'm getting to meet, and just enjoying each step along the way, which is helping me build my perspective of healthcare and biotech. And I'm confident that one day I'll find that small area where I can make that impact and bring together all these technologies and companies that I'm working with or working for to have that social impact.
Param, Jean, Riley, Saba, and Karina. They live the life of dorms, dining halls, and classes, but they're also pushing themselves well beyond that. And when they do, they move us all forward. And that's what earns them all spots on the next list. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta.